I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask. Today we have with us Chicken Soup for the Soul. Please hurry back and join us. Hi, welcome back to the show. Today we have with us Chicken Soup for the Soul, volunteer representative Christopher Grobel of Action Wood Technology, and Tim Steinbeck, employment service trainer for United Cerebral Palsy. Hi, Christopher. Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Hi. Well, of course, Tim, you're a returning guest with us for United Cerebral Palsy, but today's subject is about Chicken Soup for the Soul. I'd like to find out from you two gentlemen, what is Chicken Soup for the Soul?
Well, basically what it is, it's a series of books that a couple of authors, Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield, have produced. And what it is, we're trying to develop a book, a spin-off book, a new book relating to people with disabilities. So we feel it's a different spin, but we want to bring attention, of course, to disabilities.
Okay. Now, the title, Chicken Book for the Soul, I've heard that there's various books about Chicken Soup for the Soul. This one is which one?
This is a disability perspective. What's been done in the past for the Chicken Soup for the Soul books is different individuals that the books pertain to have sent in stories, inspirational stories, telling about their lives, telling about how they got from one point to another, surviving to the point where they're living with what happened in their past and they're moving on to the future. And that's the perspective that we'd like to take. We'd like people with disabilities to send in stories about their lives, about their experiences, the things they're doing. So often with people, if we can see someone else doing something that we want to do, that's very inspiring to us, and that can empower us to move forward and to reach some higher goals.
Okay. Christopher, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Yeah, I'm president of a company called Action Wood Technologies, and we're a defense contract firm per se. What it was is we just got recruited to try to help with this book and to give, like I said, like you had mentioned, our perspectives and trying to shed some focus on direction on where our lives have gone and try to submit stories and so on and so forth.
Okay. Can you give us a little history on your disability?
What I am, I'm a spinal cord injury. I'm a C17-1 paraplegic, and same thing with Tim. We're just confined to a wheelchair.
Okay. Okay. And Tim, of course, can you give us a little bit of your history and employment service over at United Cerebral Palsy?
For myself, I have a spinal cord injury. I've had that for the last 9 years. I received that in a swimming accident in Daytona Beach, Florida. From then I moved on to United Cerebral Palsy and started working there. And we're an advocacy organization. And right now we have a contract with the state to help them implement a new program called the Rehabilitation Renaissance Project into their system. And what it is it's a customer-first orientated program to assist people with disabilities in getting competitive employment in the community.
Okay. Okay. Now, how did you two gentlemen become involved, basically, with Chicken Soup for the Soul?
Well, basically, a real estate agent by the name of Ralph Roberts recruited myself and Tim to come basically shed some insight with a perspective, I think, from a disability perspective, as well as maybe to bring some new insight to the table. And what we were trying to do is recruit, as he had mentioned, people worldwide to submit stories, so we can select a number of stories to hopefully that contribute to the book and we feel will be advantageous perspective, like I say, of their lives and their disabilities, and something to, like I said, just to shed some light on that disability perspective.
Okay. Now, is this a nonprofit program or book?
Actually, yes. All the proceeds will be going to people with disabilities, various programs across the nation that will be nationwide. I wanted to back up. I met Ralph Roberts a couple of years ago, and Ralph was very interested in how I was living my life, and I was interested in how he was living his. So he was very curious to see how I did things and the obstacles that I faced and that Chris faces also. So I think he's come from a perspective that, he cares about people and he cares about people being motivated to live life to the fullest, because he does.
Yeah, he takes it to the heart. There's no doubt about it. In fact, he employs a lot of people with disabilities, so you can tell he's a caring individual versus more so than just a businessman. I mean, he really, like I say, really cares, and you can just tell that by talking to him.
Okay. Well, we heard about you two gentlemen from Tim Finn. So we'd like to say hello to Tim Finn.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Tim's good people.
Okay. Now, basically, when you say submit stories, how deep are the stories? When I say deep, how deeply rooted? I mean, are they somewhat tragic or sorrowful, tearful? What type of story? Can you give us a
Everything
little
you just
example?
described, I would think
Okay.
that we're receiving. Approximately, we've received about 1,200 stories so far. For the book, we need to collect 101 stories. Right now, they're currently being read and edited on content and the stories that are involved and the inspiring stories.
They're looking for stories that pull at the heartstrings, so to speak.
Okay. Is it a paperback or hardback book? Or
Paperback, I believe.
paperback?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how often is the publication done?
Gosh, those are questions I don't
Yeah,
know yet.
like I said.
Okay.
As volunteers, you know, as we're getting to it, right now we're at the stage where we're collecting stories. I'm sure that things are in the move for this book to come out in the summer of '98. So as we get the stories coming in and the more stories that we get, possibly we could have more than one series with this.
They did have a deadline of December 31st, 1997, but they left the deadline open because they're still looking for people to contribute stories.
Okay.
And they're going to keep it open for, I'm not quite sure how much longer, but like I said, we've already received 1,200 stories, of which 101 will be selected, hopefully.
1,200 stories. Now, when you say collect 1,200 stories, is it city, state, nationwide?
Worldwide.
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Okay.
The internet has really opened up communication for people to send a lot of stories, along with the written mail. We've also received just stories from just about every state and a lot of different countries.
Okay. So it could be in any language. You will
Absolutely.
receive the information in any
Correct.
language and have to determine basically what it is.
Absolutely. Disability doesn't discriminate.
Yeah.
You're right. Anytime when you read some of the stories, does it move you yourselves?
Oh, sure, because it brings perspective back to our lives. I mean, you know, we touch somebody with the things we do in our lives, but when you see it in print, you know, it has a little bit more meaning, and then when you're trying to read it and evaluate it, yeah, it definitely, you know, it hits home, so to speak.
Okay.
For me, I really enjoy hearing how other people live their lives. So often we don't see the 49 million people with disabilities in the communities on TV, but they're out there, they're living, and it's neat to see, you know, the choices that they've chosen and
Okay.
the direction they went in.
Okay. So someone can write and send in the story, or put it on the website and send in the
Correct.
story,
Correct.
or any video footage, and people try to send pictures of themselves and things like that.
We've received some pictures. I don't know about videos, and some people have sent books in that they've written so that we can pull out pieces of their books and add them to their story.
All different types of documentation, literature, everything relating to the people with disabilities. It's really kind of neat stuff.
Okay. Well, Tim, we don't want to take anything from you, Christopher, but Durango here is letting us know that he's got to be in the shot. And Durango is from Pause with the Cause?
Yeah, Durango's from Pause with a Cause. He's my service dog. I received him about a year ago.
Okay.
Pause with the Cause is out of Grand Rapids, and they train service dogs for people with disabilities.
Okay.
And I waited for about 2 years for Durango, and he assists me in living independently in the community and within my home.
And goes everywhere you go.
Absolutely.
Okay. So make sure we're going to shine Durango there now, because he's letting us know he is here.
Yes,
okay.
he is.
Okay. So in the event that you've gotten involved with Chicken Soup, do you feel like your own stories are in there too? Can you kind of...
Well, we both submitted stories. Whether or not they're going to be in the book's a different story. But yeah, we both submitted a story, hopefully with good content enough. You know, like you say, we feel we overcome obstacles and, you know, face adversity, and we're just hopefully contribute a story that's worthy of print.
Okay. So basically, when a person sends in the story, even though it's probably very touching and emotional, mainly at the end of their story, is there a rainbow?
Sometimes there is, and sometimes it's reality. And that needs to be expressed, and people are living those realities, and that's okay. So often the realities that we live, people judge, and we need to move beyond that so that, you know, we can work together and develop as communities. And
I think focus is a key word there, and try to stay focused.
absolutely.
Okay. So Ralph Roberts, that's his name. Is he actually like the founder, or?
What it is basically, I don't know how he got involved directly with these two authors, but it's just something, like you say, he turned a certain perspective from a living perspective himself, and just took, I don't know the word to choose, but he just, like you say, he was generally interested in how he was living his life as well as mine.
Now, is he a person with a disability also?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Not example, Victoria.
Okay. And so he took it upon himself to challenge and take on the responsibilities of
Correct.
seeing how others live with
And
disabilities.
like you say, he hired people with disabilities who work directly just on this project within his
Great.
real estate firm. So
Okay, that's great.
yeah, it's just it's not a monetary thing for him. I mean, it's something he really believes in.
Okay, well, that's wonderful, and I'm sure that's inspiring to know that a person of his caliber would, seek out the assistance of persons with disabilities to find out actually how they function every day and what keeps them going, or, what's a problem in their lives. Sometimes you just want a simple ramp put down so you can get in and out of your house, or something put on your car, or someone to come by and clean up a little bit, this and that. And some of those small things help just as much as the large things in life.
I think you hit it on the head, though. He asks questions, right? He wants to know
Right.
how you're doing, not
Right.
just he sees the wheelchair, but how are you doing, Chris? I mean, are you getting out? Are you enjoying life a little bit? And
Yeah.
what are your obstacles?
Well, that's where the name Just Ask comes from. We want to know exactly. People are always so inquisitive about persons with disabilities, handicap, or even elderly. Instead of guessing, why don't you just ask them? And that way, people will feel more inclined to understand rather than second guess anything about you or anything about a disability. If you cut out the I wonders and inquisitive thought and just ask me, then I would be more inclined to tell you more comfortably than your assumptions.
Absolutely.
You
Okay.
associate 3 little letters, ASK, and that's it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I can understand. So deeply rooted, the volunteer part. Do you go out or how do you actually come in contact?
Like I said, they had a system in place with this internet website, and they were actually already soliciting stories prior to us being recruited, being brought on board. And I think they brought us in just to kind of help evaluate the stories according to content and rate them, and try to also get the word out maybe in the disabled community, like, hey, we would like you to submit stories, because you deal in the community. Can you be of service to them, and try to get the word out there?
Okay.
We meet on a regular basis to go over the stories, to think about new ideas, to reach out to the other people that have disabilities across the nation, some of the people that are in the public eye, and we solicit stories from them, and hopefully those will be in the book too.
Okay. When you approach a person or contact a person, do they find it difficult to want to share that information?
Absolutely, and those people that do share are those that have built some confidence, that have built some self-esteem living with their disability, and those are the individuals we want to hear from, because the individuals that do have a hard time talking about their disability and how they have to live their lives, they need to see it from someone else and see that it can be done.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen. Well, let's take a commercial break and come back. I have some more questions for you. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good, oh, with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Support those most in need. Call 1-800-899-0089. See how you can help.
Hi, and welcome back to the second half of the show. If you're just not joining us, we have Chicken Soup for the Soul, Representative Christopher Grobel and Tim Steinbreck. Now, gentlemen, we left off with the way a person comes in contact with you to actually submit their letter in the book. Is there a phone number that they can contact you by, or a written address? What is
Yeah,
it?
correct. Right now, it's being staffed by Ralph Roberts Real Estate, and if they want to submit stories via letter, they can send them to 30521 Shaner. That'd be in Warren, Michigan, 48093. Or they have a contact by the name of Joe Hafner, and he can be reached at 810-558-5369. And he's kind of the point man, along with Tim Finn, who are contributing their time to this.
So if a person called, they can actually find out what would be the materials needed, or
Correct. They find
Okay.
the most advantageous way to submit a story, either by that or by, they believe they have an internet website, which I'm not familiar with.
.com, all that.
Yeah, we don't know that
.com.
We're not on the internet either. Okay, so basically now what I'm asking is that if I wanted to submit a story, is there a limit on the number of pages that I can submit? I mean, because, you know, when you're talking about a person's lifestyle here.
Absolutely. You know, and it is hard to tell that life story, and we'd like to hear some about some of those experiences within that life. I think they were looking at about 750 words to 1,000 words, somewhere around those for the type of stories that that go in the book and that have gone in the other Chicken Soup books.
Okay, okay.
So basically, we do want experiences. We know that you can't tell your whole life story on paper, but you do have some experiences, maybe some enlightening experiences, dealing with people with disabilities or without disabilities.
So the person doesn't necessarily have to go into detail like before their accident, if there was an accident, or before, or during birth, mom, whatever happened,
Correct,
this and
yeah.
that. They don't have to go through all that. They can just,
They don't want it to read like a documentary. They want
Okay.
something heartfelt, some experiences that really hit home for you, and something you might want to share. See, like a lot of times, like you had mentioned, it's hard to open up about an experience you might have had, whether it be, you know, real or otherwise. I mean, something that you really felt and you want to share with somebody, and you'd like to see it in print per se. But no, they don't want to read, like you're saying, the whole synopsis of how you got there.
okay.
And for instance, like my story is called Stop Surviving, Start Living. And what it talks about is it just talks about a point where, you know, you felt like you are surviving, and that's all that you are, is surviving day to day, and you're counting those days of that accident. And sooner or later, you move on to that point where you start living, and you start realizing that, you know, I can live like this, I can enjoy life like this, I can experience all these different things that are out there for people with disabilities and without disabilities.
So you actually give your title. I didn't realize that you can have a title. So if a person submits a story, they actually give a title to their story.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Did you have a title for yours, Chris?
Yeah, I did. You know, it slipped. I'm having a brain cramp.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
should know this, but
It's okay. You can come back and tell about it.
Brad, 1200
Yeah,
stories.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
Evaluated too, man.
1,200 stories. I guess you can kind of, you know, skip your over there a little
Exactly.
bit. Oh, okay, okay. Well, that's good. I hadn't thought about that you have a title. I'm just thinking that, you know, I'm going to tell a story about myself, and, you know, I want to submit it, and that's that. Well, it would make sense for each and every chapter or page or whatever you're going to submit have a title to it, so that when someone reads it, it's actually like Marsha's life and blah blah blah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Use a title, you either get busy living or get busy dying. We decided the first option, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, you know, in order to convey some information, you know, the bold print sometimes speaks for itself first, and that way you decide from the bold print if you're going to read something or not, you know. But we've heard about Chicken Soup for the Soul, and we weren't sure which book or which text this was going in, because isn't there variations in the books? There's different levels of chicken soup.
Absolutely. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I
Okay.
believe there's 11 different series of books, and books for battered women, teenagers,
Right.
elderly people, all kinds of
For the
different...
cancer survivors, I mean,
Absolutely.
they hit every topic.
Adoption.
Okay.
All kinds of different
Okay.
different stories, just different people across the nation living the same as someone else, and that
wonderful.
connection is so empowering.
That's wonderful. Wasn't it recently a play done, or isn't there a play done, something like this?
I'm
Also?
not aware of anything right
Okay.
now.
Okay, I mean, because I'm sure if it was a play, we probably would know about it, but it would be kind of extensive to do a play on,
Sure.
you know, such a subject matter or whatever.
Correct.
But I saw some of the books in the store, and I didn't know, you know, when I see chicken soup, I'm thinking of food. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, we were talking about it prior to the show, and it's uncanny when you talk to so many people who haven't heard of the Chicken Soup for the Souls, and I got to admit, I was not exposed to it either prior to this. I know I have heard of it, but I didn't know the extent of the books. And then when you see a #1 bestseller book, you know, up in front of B. Dalton's or something,
Okay.
you know it's come to life.
Good reason to read. Okay, okay.
Correct.
And every Chicken Soup book for the Soul series that has been out has sold at least 2 million books.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a huge audience out there that is really embracing this book.
Okay. Gotta get a copy. Okay. So when you submit, you have to type it?
Not necessarily.
Necessarily.
We're helping people edit stories.
Okay.
We'll actually, the contact person, we can give calls back to assist you in some of those stories.
Help to revise the story, whatever you might need some assistance in.
Okay, that's really unique because I can't see you guys just sitting up every night reading a few stories. But I guess if you're committed, when you're committed to something and you want to see it work, this is what you do.
Correct.
And we're not the only people that are involved. There
Yeah.
are a bunch of other people with disabilities that are dedicated also. So we're not the backbone here. We're just part of the team.
Exactly. There's about a dozen of us right now that are affiliated with Management's Perspective, trying to get it jump-started. That's another reason we're here today, is trying to promote some interaction from a viewing audience. We need some help in evaluating these stories and reading some stories. So if there's anybody out there that might feel they might be able to give us some assistance in this area, we're always looking for people, volunteers like us, who could come out and try to help us out in reading these stories, helping revise some of the stories, and even submitting some of the stories if they feel to be adequate.
Okay, now do you have a number you want them to contact?
Well, basically the
you,
same number
or-
we had just given you earlier. I mean,
Okay.
that being the main contact point, but anybody that might want to give some assistance, because to be perfectly honest, we're both overwhelmed. I mean,
Okay.
we're not the only ones involved in this project, and even from the number of people we do have, we're still understaffed.
So you do your regular job by day and
Correct.
turn
Absolutely.
into super sleuths in the evening? And,
Well, we fake it pretty good. How's that?
okay. And then I meant to go back some and ask you exactly what you do for your everyday job. And Tim, I'm going to start with you because we are very much aware of United Cerebral Palsy. We just recently did a show with you, so we'd like to know how the service over there is going. And
It's going wonderful. We're an organization that reaches out to the communities to try to make a difference, to advocate on behalf of people with disabilities so that, they have full participation in their community and in their schools and in employment, all aspects of living. And that's kind of the backbone where United Cerebral Palsy comes from. And I work on an employment project, and we assist people with severe disabilities and not so severe disabilities in getting jobs under the Michigan Jobs Commission and Rehabilitation Services. So that's what I do.
now, placing people in employment, do you find that a difficult task to do, or?
Actually, no. I think if you take the right perspective, and the perspective that you're assisting someone in figuring out what their dreams are, what their desires are, what their likes are, their dislikes, and then if you can find those things out, you can point them in the right direction and then assist them in choosing the job that they'd like to have. It's so important for people to choose the jobs that they want, because if you're invested in it, then you're going to be successful with it.
That's correct. Okay, and Christopher?
President of a company called Actionwood Technologies, and we're a defense contract firm. But recently we just shifted gears to, we're trying to lean towards the universal design and barrier-free homes. We both just recently built a home, and we know the importance of all the cosmetics that would go hand in hand with universal design. And I'm going to be trying to promote some different design changes so they're not looking so clinical,
Okay.
and a little bit more cosmetically attractive and appealing to the eye, and a little bit different too.
Okay, so your home is just
Yeah. It's
a home, I can tell.
It's a home. It's
Okay.
everything my mother would probably hate from a decoration standpoint.
Okay,
But
okay.
it's very unique in its design. It's not the same barrier-free home that you normally see. It's got a lot of universal design incorporated into it. It just doesn't look clinical
I mean,
at all.
it's conducive for you, and say like if you were going to sell your home later, it still look like the average home, but some things
Correct.
may be modified more so that a person can, just reach across and touch a knob and things like that.
Correct,
We went
yeah.
to a home a year ago in West Bloomfield, a home that was modified. This home was, it was to die for. But, I was very touched by it because it is time in the year 2000 as well as present to start to take on the change. People want to stay home more, or they want to have more accessibility to their homes instead of always having someone come in and do services, or better yet, it's my house. This is what I need and this is what I want.
Exactly.
Okay. So that, yeah.
Yeah, and we don't look at it from we look at it too from like a resale perspective. Like I say, even though we're disabled and everybody's going to be disabled at some point in their lives, we can make this home universal, whereas anybody could just come in and start living with accessibility with not being a
What
problem.
about seniors?
Same thing.
You can modify a senior's home. Okay, so they already have a house, but they want to have a few things shifted over or whatever. You can go in and modify a
Sure.
senior's home.
Retrofit homes, yeah.
Okay. Does insurance policies play a purpose in there or anything?
Yeah, you're hitting an area I know nothing
Well,
about.
I just
apologize.
thought I asked. A few seniors were going to look up and say, got to make a phone call. Okay. So basically, your home is conducive for you, and
Correct.
you're very happy with it like that.
Very happy. I spent 2 years designing and building it, so I made sure that it was quite conducive.
Okay.
Very much so.
All right. Same thing for you, Tim?
Actually, yeah, I just recently built a home in Troy that I helped build with my sister. And it's all accommodated for me, a 2.5-car garage and a huge
2.5
living
car
area.
What does he have? Okay.
So that it all works for me, making sure that I can open my doors on my car all the way,
Right.
I can get in and out and deal with the wheelchair issues.
Yeah, and no weather conditions can hinder you from
Absolutely,
doing-
absolutely. There's some danger there. You need to look out for your safety.
That's
and,
right.
Correct.
Being warm in Michigan sometimes
Right.
it's kind of hard to do.
Okay. Well, I can understand both of you because I'm hearing impaired, and being hearing impaired, you learn a lot about sounds and things you have to look out for. People are always surprised that I speak what we call good English, and I get around, I do what I have to do. But being a person with a disability, mild or otherwise, you still have to look out for the safety and the welfare for yourself, and know that anything can happen at any given time. So you want to be as comfortable as possible in your home, outside your home, your work and everything. And so my job is nice enough to accommodate me, as well as my home has a few minor changes, for sound purposes, but I do pretty good myself. And I think it's a plus for people of today to have things that they really need and really can get, comfortable with, so they don't have to worry so much about tomorrow.
Absolutely. A huge part of living is controlling your own environment. And your home is your environment. You should feel comfortable and it should be accessible for you. And so often those are very hard to find. Those homes are very hard to find.
Okay. Well, in closing, gentlemen, do you have any comments for us, or anything we should know about the upcoming, or the way you feel about today, or the chicken soup, chicken soup, I'm sorry. And do you feel anything different, or?
I guess in closing, we both just felt this was a real worthwhile project. We were both very busy during the day, and we decided to undertake this in the evenings. And we just feel it's very worthwhile and very heartfelt. It's something we both can, we feel we got something to contribute, but we're also looking for other people to contribute too. We're just two individuals. We don't play that key of a role in it. We're behind the scenes, so to speak. But we're just trying to bring some exposure to it, I guess, would be the main.
You want to give us that number again, also?
Yeah, that number, again, would be 558-5369, area code 810.
Okay.
And again, that's Ralph Roberts Real Estate.
Okay. And did have a question for you. Hopefully, will this book be out in Braille also? Do you know if this book?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It'll be accommodated for all people with this.
Thank you. Okay. Tim, do you have any closing remarks for us? Last time you told us nope.
Today I do.
Okay.
Okay, if you have a Chicken Soup for the Soul story, send it in. And if you're interested in helping, please contact us. And for those of you that are interested in some of the service at United Cerebral Palsy, just give us a call, and that number is 248-557-5070. And we're a nonprofit organization also.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
been a pleasure.
We'd love to have you back at any time. We look forward to getting a copy of Chicken Soup, or some of our guests may, contact us and let us know that they have written or have submitted something to Chicken Soup. Feel free to come back anytime. Drop us a line on whatever is going on in the future.
Appreciate the
And
invitation.
thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Great,
Okay.
thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay. As usual, you all know who I am. I'm Marsha Florence for Just Ask. And what do I always say? If you know someone with a disability, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host, Marsha Florence. Thank you.